Have you ever felt like you're stuck in the same place, spinning your wheels, but just not moving forward? And you can't shake that feeling that no matter how hard you try, you're just not living up to your full potential. In this video, I'm sharing 5 powerful mindset shifts that finally allowed me to break free from that feeling of being stuck in life. These are real, actionable tips that will help you reshape how you see yourself, your goals, and your future. Mindset shift number 1 is, why can't I move forward? This is that deep-rooted feeling of being stuck. For context, I know that I've personally felt this a lot, especially going into adulthood and in my adult years. I was an athlete growing up. I was 16 sitting in college classes, and I actually graduated with my associate's degree before I even sat for my high school graduation, which is pretty funny. I was out of college 2 years after. So things were really quick for me, but let me tell you, adulthood is a whole beast on its own. I was very used to, setting goals and following a structure, but also because I picked a path, which in this case, I picked exercise science. It's a little bit untraditional. There's no real direction in where it can take you. And coming from someone that had very clear goals and, check boxes into something very unknown, my career and my adulthood so far, I know that I've achieved a lot of the things that I wanted to, but I also haven't achieved, or maybe I haven't found myself in the position that I thought I would be in at this point in my life. And that has definitely led me to feel like, why can't I move forward? But this is where we're going to reshift that thinking of giving that control away, that you're just not moving forward, into, I may not be moving forward as fast as I would like, but progress is progress, and every single step counts. Now that we live in a world where everybody shows, the highlight reels of life, and you really don't even know what's real or what's not real, it's so easy to just see people's final results and then think to yourself, why can't I be at that stage? Or why are the choices that I made in life not putting me in that position? Or whatever it is that you're telling yourself. But you have to remember that your progress is progress, no matter how small. Everything adds up to eventually having that pivotal moment or achieving that thing that you've been working for. This world of instant gratification really makes you forget that big things or special things to you take time, they take mastery. Time is such a valuable asset that you're giving into whatever it is that you're giving that time to, and at some point it will pay off. You may not see it now, but just be patient and keep progressing little by little. Mindset shift number 2 is, everyone seems to be doing fine. Why am I struggling? Piggybacking off of point number 1 in terms of you don't really know what's real and what's not real anymore. Comparison is the thief of all joy. That is so hard to do nowadays in society, where obviously you're being bombarded with information and beautiful photos, stunning content, and maybe, you feel like your life is a little bit more normal, or maybe you have your friends that are achieving amazing things and they picked more traditional routes in their careers, or they didn't make certain changes. Whatever the case is that you feel like, everyone is doing great, but you're not, you have no idea what is going on in people's lives. I'm sure you have friends that, quote unquote, are maybe super successful or are in great relationships, but the real story behind, and maybe it's not really the case so much behind closed doors. So this is your sign to stop comparing yourself. So we are reframing this thought into, everyone's journey is different and my struggles are part of my own growth. Going back to point number 1, I came from a school of a lot of kids that were very, academic overachievers. A lot of them went off to Ivy League schools and are in very high up positions nowadays. I could really be beating myself up for, maybe not making the same decisions that they made. But I always knew that I wanted to do things a little bit more untraditional, that there were certain things that I didn't want to give up, or that I wanted to work towards, that going into that path wasn't gonna allow me to do. So I always remind myself, and I want to remind you, that your journey is your own. It's okay if not everybody understands it. Most people are not gonna understand your journey, and that's okay, because it's your journey to understand. It's your lessons to learn. It's your lessons to apply for the things in the future, and just focus on yourself. Mindset shift number 3 is the famous, I don't know where to start. I know this thought has stopped me so many more times than I would like to admit, and I'm personally someone that is super perfectionist and very analytical, and I like to do things at 100% if I'm going to do them. So I get myself stuck in analysis paralysis all the time, and it is something that I am definitely working on not doing. I want to be able to be a doer and not just someone that is going to get stuck in that planning phase for forever or discourage myself from doing things, instead of being that person that just goes out there and does it and learns along the way, because really that's the only way that you are going to get things done and that you're truly going to learn is to apply things. You could be reading medical journals for your whole life or surgical, textbooks for your whole life. But if you never do surgery on a person, you are not going to know how to do surgery, even if you spent the last 60 years reading surgical and medical books. You have to do it, So that's literally what this is. If you don't know where to start, we are going to stop thinking that and stop getting analysis paralysis. And we are going to shift into thinking not knowing where to start is okay. This is where most people give up because they are so terrified of the fear of failure. Take one step at a time and start building that momentum. The hardest thing of almost anything is always going to be where to start, because most likely if you're starting something, you have either no idea about it, or maybe you're not good at it, or you're just curious. And it's one of those things that I admire in kids so much because they have no fear. They will just do things. I think that as we become adults, we start to become a lot more fearful because of outside opinions or because of what we're supposed to be doing. And it's all these external pressures and internal pressures that you put on yourself. But this is your sign to just put those to the side and just start, build momentum. You're only going to learn as you go. You're going to become better. The worst thing you can do is not start, because then you're never going to learn. And then you're going to look back on your life and you're going to say, why didn't I try that one thing? I think the thought of not having tried something and it haunting you for the rest of your life is a lot scarier than saying, I tried and it didn't work out, but hey, at least I tried. Like, that's something you should be way more proud of. Who cares what other people think? At least you tried, and it gives you that personal sense of accomplishment that you tried something. And as you try things, you're going to become less fearful of them, which is also great, because then you're going to notice that it's not that scary and that it really is all in your head, and your head is either going to work for you or it's going to work against you. So we might as well have our head work for us. And also, where do you think most people start? Like people that have successful businesses, for example. Most likely, I mean, yes, there's a rare few that maybe, were given the golden spoon, but a lot of the other people, they didn't know anything before they started, or they knew very little. But you just start with small things. You start doing one, daily thing a day. You start building that momentum. You start realizing that you can do it, and you learn as you go. And that's really the key. Or even someone that's starting their fitness journey. I'm someone that's been working in the fitness industry for over 9 years now. And I can tell you that most people, the hardest thing is definitely to start. Once you're fit, once you're familiar with the movements, once you're familiar with, good eating habits, things become a lot easier. But when you're first jumping into that world with maybe no knowledge or past traumas or whatever you might be dealing with, it can be a really scary place. And you might be setting all these roadblocks mentally for yourself. But once you put your first foot in the door and you just start, you break that barrier through, and you can only go up and progress from there. Another example, I'm a baby YouTuber. Whenever you're watching this video at this point, this is my 3rd video. If I'm being truly honest with myself, YouTube is something that I have always been interested in learning about and in doing since I was a teenager. And it took me far, far, far too many years to build up the courage and put that fear away and just start. And let me tell you that even just being 3 videos in and like 20 subscribers in, that it has been so fulfilling, because it's something that was a personal objective for me, and I finally got myself on camera and I'm doing it. So just this is your sign that things aren't as scary and that you have to do them. They're gonna build that confidence in yourself. You're gonna be feeling good because you're doing the things that you want to do, and you really just have to start. Mindset shift number 4 is, what if I make a mistake? Let's be honest here, you are gonna make mistakes. I've made plenty of mistakes in my life. I'm sure you've made plenty of mistakes in your life, but guess what? You learn the most from mistakes, and you need to stop being scared of making mistakes and almost welcome them in, because they are going to teach you some of the best lessons that are going to just elevate you to the next step. So we are going to be reframing that into, there is no perfect decision. I can always adjust along the way. This makes that fear of making a mistake way less scary because no decision is ultimately going to be the one and only right decision. You don't want to get stuck in analysis paralysis or the what if I would have done this, what if I would have done that. You don't really know. You don't know where that would have led. You could think that it would have led to this magical, place, but maybe you would have made that mistake and it actually would have, brought you down here. And the choice that you made is really not that bad. You don't know. So stop beating yourself up for that. And also know that as you make mistakes, because you will make mistakes, you are going to adjust along the way. Again, you're going to take those lessons, adjust what you need to adjust, and you're just going to keep moving forward. Mindset shift number 5, and the last one is, what if this is as good as it gets? Before we get into this one, I just want to clarify that this does not mean that you always have to strive for more. It is great to be content with whatever chapter on your journey that you are on, to be happy with everything that you currently have, because that is going to allow you to enjoy your life while you're living it, and that is so important. But we don't want to use that as a clutch to just not make changes if we are not comfortable or just not happy, because we just think, well, this is as good as it's going to get, because that's not true. For example, related to this topic, I personally struggled with back injury and a knee injury for a couple of years at this point, and there are times, as someone again that has worked in the fitness industry for over 9 years, it was a whole identity crisis for me when I got injured, because I've been an athlete my whole life. I've been super active, I've been extremely fit, and all of a sudden that was all taken away from me, and I was in pain all the time. I was doing rehab for months on end, seeing all these different specialists, and it got to a point where I was literally thinking to myself, what if this is as good as it's gonna get? What if I never get better? What if I never get to feel that feeling again that was such a big motivator in my life? But I very quickly turned that off and refused to believe that that's the case, because I didn't want to get myself into a deeper hole and again give that control away. And slowly but surely, things are getting better. I'm working on it every day, focusing on the little bit of progress, because little progress is progress, and down the line I know it's going to get me to the end goal. So just know that you don't have to just think that this is as good as it's going to get, and we're going to be reframing that into, this is just a chapter, it is not the whole story. I am capable of change, and there are always new possibilities ahead. I think if I never would have gotten injured, I would have never gotten into skincare. I maybe would have never built the courage to start making videos and posting videos, because I would have just kept doing what I was doing and what I felt good in. So I like to think that maybe it all happened for a reason, and that huge lesson and those dark days and those dark moments really led me to understand and even be more empathetic with people that have gone through similar things, or as I see people go through those things. And I truly believe, and you should truly believe, that there is so much out there in the world, and that there are so many new possibilities ahead of you if you just start creating those paths that are going to lead you there, and you have the courage to be different and to create your own paths. I promise you, this is not going to be as good as it gets, and it's only going to get better. I hope these tips helped you to feel less alone and gave you some actionable mindset shifts for every time that one of those intrusive thoughts comes into your head. You're just going to flip the script, and you're going to say that new phrase to yourself, and over time, I promise you, making that change is going to make such a huge difference in just transforming whatever the future weeks, years, or your life could look like. If you want to share in the comments what you struggle with, or at what point in life you are, and what you have found your biggest struggles to be, or what are your mindset shifts that you've made that have really helped you, I would love for you to share them and read them so that everyone else can also apply them to their life. And as always, if you got any value from this video, please don't forget to give that subscribe button a sweet little tap. I'm so grateful to have you here, and I'll see you in the next one.